Hey guys, welcome back, and in today's video we are going to be starting a brand new series here on the channel as we are going to be doing my college football deep dive series. Now I want to give a big shout out to that franchise guy who was a big inspiration behind this series. He does this with the NFL each and every year. But I want to transition into doing more college football, NFL draft content, and I thought this would be a perfect way to be able to encapsulate that. So we are going to be going from 1 to 25 and talking about my top 25 teams in college football. Be patient with me. There's not going to really be a consistent release schedule for this series. There's a lot of work that is going into this. But if you guys do want to support this series, be sure to check out my Patreon. I will leave linked down in the description below. I have my entire Texas interactive deep dive guide available on my Patreon. It's $10 for a one-time purchase if you guys want it, or you can subscribe for $5 a month, and you can get my full library of deep dive guides. There are interactive player cards that are going to go along with this entire series. They are front and back sided with all the player stats, all the information you guys need about these players. This is a very long process. This has been a joy to put together. So if you guys do enjoy college football content, if you are ready for the college football season, I'd really appreciate if you leave a like on this video. It helps me out a ton, helps the YouTube algorithm get this video out to more college football fans just like you. But guys, I have been dying to get this series started. This has been so much fun. If you guys are clicking this, you see who my number one team is. I got the Texas Longhorns as my number one team entering the college football season. They've got a lot of different storylines to follow, whether it be archmanning, whether it be, new skill positions coming in. They lost some players to the NFL draft. This is a really fun team to go into, so hope you guys enjoy this. But let's go ahead and kick this one off, starting off with the portal and the recruiting for the Texas Longhorns. So they didn't really make any big-time moves in terms of the coaching staff. They brought back all their offensive, defensive coordinators, as well as Steve Sarkisian is coming back to coach this team. We're going to get into all of that in this video. Sark being one of the better coaches in college football. But at the quarterback position, I'll say they slightly downgraded in that area. They lost Quinn Ewers, their starting quarterback, over the last 3 seasons. And while Ewers hasn't been able to consistently stay on the field, he helped carry this Texas team to back-to-back college football playoff appearances. They brought in KJ Lacey, the true freshman, and they also brought in Matthew Caldwell, a transfer from Troy, a veteran quarterback. We'll get in talking to him later on in the video. At the running back position, this team didn't really make many moves. They brought in James Simon, a true freshman. We're not really going to talk about Simon in this video. He's probably going to be redshirting this year. At the wide receiver position, I'm going to say they downgraded. You lose Isaiah Bond. You lose Matthew Golden, who was a first-round pick. Jonte Cook hits the portal, and then he hit the portal again. That might be addition by subtraction, but you're relying on a lot of true freshmen. You bring in Khalil Lockett, Jamie French, Dalen McCutcheon, all true freshmen, but I really like the addition of Emmett Mosley the fifth, a transfer from Stanford. Again, we'll get into that later on. At the tight end position, I'm going to say they upgraded in this spot. You lose Gunnar Helm. He was a 4th-round pick to the Tennessee Titans. And you lose Amari Niblack. He is going to Texas A&M. But you bring in Emory Winston, a true freshman who I'm really excited to talk about, and Jack Injuries, one of my favorite players in the entire transfer portal. I think that could be a massive addition for this Texas team. So I really like the moves they made there. Then we go on to the offensive line. I'm going to say this is the one area that they massively downgraded in. You lose Kelvin Banks, Cameron Williams, Jake Majors, and Hayden Connor. 4 starters from last year, and really the only thing you have to show for it is Nick Brooks, another guy who wasn't heavily recruited. We won't talk about him in this video, but that is a massive question mark for this Texas team entering the year. We'll talk about the offensive line and kind of the situation that I think they are in. Off the edge, interesting situation for this team. I'm again going to say slightly downgraded here. You lose Barron Sorrell, Justice Finkley, and Tasuli Akana. You bring in Lance Jackson and Smith Orogbo, 2 highly recruited true freshmen that I think could make big-time impacts for this Texas team. Still, you're relying on true freshmen. There are a lot of questions there. But when you look at this defensive line, the interior, so much movement. You lose Alfred Collins, you lose Vernon Broughton, you lose Jermaine Lole, Sydir Mitchell, Jere Bledsoe, Savea, and Aaron Bryant all hit the portal, and they were active in going out and trying to add talent to this defensive line. You bring in Travis Shaw from North Carolina, Cole Brevard from Purdue, Hero Kanu out of Ohio State, Justice Terry, the electric true freshman, Myron Charles comes over, Josiah Sharma, Levon Johnson, and Murad Watson from Syracuse. Texas saw the talent that they lost on the interior of the defensive line, and they were like, nope, we're going out, we're adding pieces. And they added a lot. I'm still going to say downgraded, though. I thought Collins and Broughton were phenomenal players for them last year. They're going to have big-time shoes to fill, but they got a lot of bodies. That should excite Texas fans. At the linebacker room, they lost David Benda. They lost Darian Goulet, but they bring in Brad Spence and they bring in Elijah Barnes. Brad Spence is a really interesting one. I'm excited to talk about him. I really love this Texas linebacker room entering the year. And then we go in to the secondary. Really the only other areas, we're not really going to talk about special teams here. They did lose their kicker and punter, brought in some new pieces, but you lose Jahdae Barron, Javion Cole, Gavin Holmes. They're all gone. I'm going to say slightly downgraded. You bring in Cade Phillips, you bring in Grayson Littleton. Those are interesting corners that I think could be impacts. You also have Caleb Chester switching over, Ryan Niblett switching over to the cornerback position. They did bring in Caleb Chester as well, another true freshman. So they made some moves. Jahdae Barron has been a phenomenal player for this Texas defense. Ended up going top 20 in the draft. I'm still going to say just slightly downgraded on that front. And then the safety room, I'm going to say it is neutral. You lose Andrew Makuba, but you bring in Jonah Williams and Zealous Hicks, two absolutely electric true freshman safeties that I think could be big-time impacts for this team. So that's kind of it in terms of the portal and recruiting, but let's go ahead and kick this off, taking a closer look at the coaching staff of the Texas Longhorns. And it is the same staff as last year. You still have offensive coordinator Kyle Flood, who's had an interesting journey. He has been the Texas offensive coordinator since 2021, following Steve Sarkisian from Alabama. A guy that has a ton of experience with the offensive line, was the offensive line coach at Rutgers, ended up doing some offensive line stuff in the NFL, was the Atlanta Falcons O-line coach, and then he was the offensive line coach at Alabama. He's gotten the best out of this line, whether it be Kelvin Banks, Cameron Williams, who had some really big moments for this Texas team last year. The offensive line has been a strength for the Texas Longhorns over the past couple of seasons. I think a big part of that can be attributed to the coaching of Kyle Flood. He's done a phenomenal job, but I think when you look at offensive coordinator, this is really Steve Sarkisian's offense. I think Kyle Flood is just running exactly what Steve Sarkisian wants to run. Sark is the mastermind behind this offensive scheme that Texas runs that has been honestly brilliant over the last couple of seasons. I think this is going to be really interesting to see how he adapts, because you had Quinn Ewers last year who was very limited in some of the things you could do with him. You got a new quarterback. We'll get into that here just a little bit, but Sark runs one of the most exciting offenses, just an incredible, adaptable offensive game that uses tons of different personnel, whether it be 10 personnel, 12 personnel. This is a guy that will play 4 wide receivers on the field. He'll play 2 tight ends. There's so many different formations that he loves to run, but he is the king of the pre-snap motion. If you have watched any Texas over the last couple of seasons, the jet motions, the orbit motions, getting wide receivers involved, whether it be bringing tight ends in like a Y-leak situation. Gunnar Helm feasted on those types of plays over the last couple of seasons. He loves to run that sort of things. A lot of pre-snap movement, but on top of that, a lot of RPOs, heavy play action offense, which really helps open things up with the vertical passing game. They love speed in the wide receiver rooms. They're going to be able to push the ball down the field, and that's exactly what Steve Sarkisian wants to do. On top of that, this has been an unbelievably efficient running game that Texas has had over the last, it seems like since Sark came in, whether it be Bijan Robinson or Jonathan Brooks, Jaden Blue and Trey Wisner this past season. They love to run outside zone, and they are so efficient. They've got athletes in the offensive line that can get up in space, land blocks. This is a really good offense, and obviously a guy that comes from the Nick Saban coaching tree. He is one of the best offensive minds really in all of college football right now. I think he has done a fantastic job of getting this team ready, because there were times where I do think Quinn Ewers was actively holding this team back, and Sark was able to make the most of it, play to his strengths. I think this offensive scheme, though, this year is going to be at another level, because I think adding Arch Manning to this is going to make this that much more exciting in some of the things we can do. We'll get into that here in just a second, but we got to talk about the defensive coordinator, Pete Kwiatkowski here. Runs that base 4-2-5 defense, but this is a team that loves to run zone coverage. They'll mix in some aggressive press stuff here and there, but they run a lot of cover 4, a lot of cover 2, and they've been really effective over the last few seasons. They've had one of the best secondaries in college football. But I love this defense because, yes, they run a lot of just base 4-2-5 stuff, but they love to play in dime packages. They love to bring the linebackers downhill as blitzers, and they have so many different ways to confuse the offenses. This defense was one of the 3 best defenses in college football last year, and I think we can attribute that to the aggressive scheme that they run. They are conservative on the back end, but they are aggressive on the defensive front. They know how to create pressure. They've got tons of athletes. I think this defense is going to be at the top of the college football landscape yet again, because they have the athletes, and I think this team is just really, really well coached from top to bottom. But that's going to do it really for the coaching staff. But now let's get into what everyone here wants to talk about. That is going to be the quarterback room, the offense. That's going to be Arch Manning. Arch Manning, I have as an 88 overall right out the gate. And I know what you're thinking, JWAC, that's incredibly high for a guy that didn't play much last year. Look, I'm all in on Arch Manning, 6'4", 225. We know the bloodlines, the nephew of Peyton and Eli Manning, former 5-star recruit. He is the best story in college football, or I won't say the best story, but probably the biggest story in college football this upcoming season. Because if Arch Manning hits his ceiling, it could be game over for the rest of the SEC. This is a guy that when he was on the field, he started against Mississippi State, saw some time against UTSA, started against Louisiana Monroe. There's so much to love about what he can do. The ball just absolutely, the way he throws the ball, I can't quite describe it to you guys. He is just a different type of passer. The ball absolutely flies off his hand. He has got an impeccable release, and he can really hit receivers at all 3 levels. And I think that was something that really held back this Texas team over the past couple of seasons, was the inconsistency of Quinn Ewers with the deep ball. Arch Manning last season was very good at connecting deep. We saw it in the spring game last year. He was able to get the most out of Ryan Wingo on those deep passes. He's got incredible arm strength, really good at hitting the deep ball. He can throw well on the run. And I think he showcases some really good pocket presence. He's got good feel. He feels pressure really, really well for the position. And he understands where pressure is coming from. And he's got the athleticism to make plays happen. But I think the thing that should excite Texas fans the most about Arch Manning this year are his legs. And I know that that's going to sound a little crazy because he's got such a great arm, and I thought he was really good in some of the situations he was in. But we talked about how Steve Sarkisian wants to run the football. They love to run outside zone, and they are a heavy motion RPO-oriented scheme. Quinn Ewers could not run the ball the way Arch Manning does. This is a guy who has just been, they brought him out for special packages last year because he is such a good athlete. He has speed, and he can blow by defenders in the open field. You bring in Arch Manning into this scheme, it's going to be really hard for defenses to try and figure it out. Are they going to pass the ball? He can leak it out to the tight ends. He's got a man deep. This team has so many more options this year than they've had in years prior, simply because I think Arch Manning is an unbelievable athlete that is going to be able to make a difference on this team. I'm all in on Arch Manning for those reasons. Look, there's limited experience. We don't really know what he is. And in the things that we have seen, there are inconsistencies. I think his footwork's going to need to improve. He's very flat-footed. He loves to throw from a flat base, and I think it causes some accuracy concerns from time to time. I think he's going to need to improve on his progressions. Can he read the field efficiently? Had some interceptions last year, just being overly aggressive and not just reading the field super well. And I do think his accuracy under pressure is going to need to get better. I thought that was an area that there were some concerns. But look, I'm all in on Arch Manning. He is the Heisman favorite this year. I think it is warranted. I think he is a phenomenal quarterback prospect. He is my number one quarterback in the 2026 draft if he does choose to declare, and I'm all in. I think he's going to be really good for this Texas team, and I like some of the depth that they have as well. I really like, we'll just go highest overall here, Matthew Caldwell, 79 overall here, a guy who's had a bit of a history. Started at Jacksonville State in 2021. Played 2 seasons at Gardner-Webb in 2022 and 23, was kind of the backup at Troy last season in 24, and then now he's at Texas. Apparently was a guy that was getting a lot of big offers. Teams wanted to bring him in as a veteran quarterback presence, and he's got a really good frame. He's 6'4", 212. I thought he had a really good release, some good ball placement overall, and I think he can throw the ball deep. There were a lot of plays, particularly in that Iowa game. I thought he made some really good throws to Devontae Ross and some of the receivers that he had. I think he's got bad pocket presence. He's not a great athlete, and the accuracy wasn't great. He had 8 interceptions to 13 touchdowns this past season, if I recall. But as a veteran backup who probably won't see the field a lot, I think he could do a lot worse than Matthew Caldwell. And then you got Trey Owens, a guy who's a sophomore. He threw 4 passes for Texas in the 2024 season, 4-star recruit from the 2024 class, but there's not really a lot of tape to go off of, but going back to the spring game, his high school recruiting, he's got good pocket presence. He's got good zip on some of his passes. He throws with touch, anticipation. You love to see that. Again, footwork can be a little bit of a concern. I think his throwing motion is a little bit odd. He throws with a weird sidearm motion. And again, accuracy was a bit of an issue for him from time to time. But Trey Owens, a solid quarterback that I think could be a nice player for them. Then you got KJ Lacey, the freshman, won Mr. Football in Alabama, 4-star recruit, 6 foot 182. He is a bit of a smaller quarterback. He throws off his back foot a lot, but I think he's got a bunch of different arm angles that he can throw from. Was Jordan Lovian in that sort of way, which I really loved to see from him. He had good arm talent. His touch on some of his throws was absolutely fantastic, and he's a good athlete. I think he can make plays happen with his legs. Probably not going to see the field much this season. And then you got Joe Tatum, a guy who's 5'11", 185. He's a smart quarterback, dual threat, but he's undersized. I think he's got a really slow throwing mechanics as well. And he's had some turnover concerns when he has seen the field. So not really much to note here for Joe Tatum, but nonetheless, that makes up the Texas quarterback room. It really depends. This Texas team is very dependent on what you think of Arch Manning. If Arch Manning is going to be the type of player that we think he can be, then I think this Texas team has a chance to go far. Obviously, I believe in Arch Manning. That's why I have Texas at number 1 here. But it does really depend on what type of play. Is he going to be consistent? And if he's not going to be consistent, I think that's going to open up a lot of concerns. But I think he's got a lot of upside. I love his fit in Sark's offense. I think this quarterback room is really solid. But moving on to the running back room here in Texas. We talked about it. Texas wants to run the football. They got a real 1A, 1B sort of situation here in the backfield. This is a really interesting situation here because I think both of these running backs have a very similar type of style, and they're not far off. We'll start with Trey Wisner because he is the presumptive starter going into the year. 6 foot, 200 pounds. He really stepped up for Texas last year when they needed him to. 3-star recruit from the 2023 recruiting class. He, I think, is going to bring real 3-down contributions to this Texas team. He could catch out of the backfield. I thought he was a fantastic blocker for them as well. He's got a really good power running style. He loves to get the ball in his hands. He can run through defenders. He constantly is keeping his legs churning, fighting for extra yardage. I love that. He is a good downhill runner, good contact balance. But what I really love about Wisner and why I have him here, he is a fantastic blocker at the running back position. There were so many times where I thought he did a really good job of chipping the outside guy and just holding his ground against some really good SEC defenders. I thought he was really, really good at times. I don't think he's a fantastic back. I got him at an 82 because I don't think he's got great vision. He felt like a very straight line runner from time to time. His shiftiness was very frustrating because I didn't think he had quick feet. I didn't think he could really bounce a lot of things. And because of that, he got tackled behind the line of scrimmage a lot at times for Texas this past season. His long speed, very inconsistent as well. I don't think he's a guy that's going to be able to consistently take the top off the defense. So you got some questions there, but I love his hands out of the backfield, and I do think he's going to have a solid season. Texas is going to run the ball a lot, and I think Wisner is going to be a big part of that. But it really depends on what happens with CJ Baxter. Baxter was incredible as a true freshman for this Texas team. 5-star recruit in the 2023 class. Unfortunately, had an injury. Did not play in the 2024 season. But, man, this guy was such a joy to watch when Jonathan Brooks went down. His size, 6'1", 220, so he's a little bit bigger than Wisner. Again, he can catch out of the backfield. He's a good blocker with fantastic hands. But what I really like about Baxter and kind of why I think CJ Baxter can be the number one running back for this Texas team is I think he has really good shiftiness in the backfield. It was Bijan Robinson-esque. I know a lot of Texas fans were comparing Baxter to Robinson after his true freshman year, but he has a really nice shimmy behind the line of scrimmage. He knows how to make guys miss. I thought his footwork was phenomenal in his true freshman season. He knows how to get skinny between his blockers. Obviously, a lot is going to be depending on his injury. How does he trust his feet? Are his feet going to be as quick as they were? But I think he's got a real opportunity to be the number one back on this Texas team. Wisner, as good as he was at times, I think Baxter has a higher ceiling on what he can get to because I think he's got quicker feet. Again, I don't think he's got the greatest long speed in the world, and his vision can be up and down at times, but Baxter has what you want out of the running back position. He can make guys miss in the open field. He can block. He's got good hands. I expect CJ Baxter to have a really solid bounce back season for Texas, and that's why I have him at an 81 overall. I thought what he showcased as a true freshman is incredibly encouraging. And if you can get that player back for this Texas team, I think this offense has a chance to be really, really good in the 2025 season. But I really like some of the depth that you have in the running back room as well. Jarrett Gibson, he saw the field a little bit for them last year, and he is more of, I would say, that scat back type, if you will. A guy that is really, really good in terms of his speed. He ran track in high school. His contact balance, really good. He's got some juice, though. His explosiveness, he's got just massive quads. Again, the footwork, the ability to make jump cuts, the contact balance. He was really difficult to bring down in the open field. He had 3 fumbles on limited carries last year, though. Very Jaden Blue-ish in that sort of way. Again, none of the running backs on this Texas team have great vision. I would say that's an area Gibson can improve, but Gibson's going to see the field this year for Texas. I got him at a 77 because he just gives them a speed element that I'm not exactly sure you're getting out of Wisner or Baxter. He's going to be a contributor for this Texas offense without a doubt because his speed is really, really impressive. And then you got Christian Clark, another guy who's coming off a devastating torn Achilles, 6 foot, 210 pounds. But again, what I saw from him as a true freshman on some of his tape, very similar to that same type of mold that you have in a Wisner and a Baxter. He's got good footwork, the ability to make guys miss in the open field. But what I like about Clark, I thought he had excellent vision. He saw holes open up. He hit them with good explosiveness and good bounce to get plays to the outside. I don't think he's got elite straight line speed. Wanted to see him be more of a contributor as a blocker. Coming off an Achilles tear, we'll see kind of what he can turn into. But I thought Christian Clark was a really interesting player. Obviously, the injury red flags hold him back. But this Texas running back room is really fun. You got a 1A, 1B between Wisner and Baxter. We'll see who can end up taking that number 1 spot. If I had to bet, I think CJ Baxter will take that spot this year just because I love the explosiveness and game that he plays with. But overall, really like this running back room. But let's go ahead and take a closer look at these weapons that the Texas Longhorns have, because boy, do they have a lot of them. We'll start with Ryan Wingo. Wingo was one of the more sought after wide receiver recruits, 5-star recruit in the 2024 recruiting class, in that class with Jeremiah Smith, in that class with Cam Coleman and Ryan Williams. He's a track star, and man, Wingo is so much fun to watch in the open field. His first step and his explosiveness is absolutely phenomenal. I think he's got the best speed of any player on this Texas offense, and you could argue he's got the best speed of anybody on this Texas team. His brother was a former starting running back for Arkansas, but his ability, you can use him on that jet motion, and you can get him the ball in space. He's so electric with phenomenal size. He's 6'2", 210 pounds. There aren't very many athletes that can move like Ryan Wingo can in the open field with his speed and with his ability to make just anything turn into a big play when he touches the ball. But I had a lot of worries about Ryan Wingo and was left a little disappointed by his tape. Looked at a couple of games of his, and he's just not a very sudden route runner. For a guy as twitchy and as explosive as he is, I wanted to see him break out of his routes a little bit quicker. Wanted to see him be more of a contributor in that phase, and unfortunately, I just didn't see it. Obviously, he was kind of behind Isaiah Bond and Golden and Bolden, but I wanted to see more production for him, and really the only games that he was productive in were the games with Archmanning throwing to him. Had some drops on there, but for a guy that's 6'2", 210 pounds, you got to be more physical. You've got to be able to win those 50-50 balls, and I just didn't see it consistently from Ryan Wingo, and that does concern me a little bit. Can he be a great receiver for this Texas team? Yes, I have the stock up on him because I think his ability to make big plays happen is really, really exciting, but there are concerns. Can he be more consistent? Can he be a better route runner? Can he get open in the middle of the field? We haven't seen that from Ryan Wingo at this point. And I got him as an 85 because of the speed element. I know there are going to be ways that Texas is going to be able to use him, but there are concerns for me about Wingo. Then we go on to Parker Livingstone, played 28 total snaps for Texas in 2024, a track and baseball player in high school, 3-star recruit from last year's class, but a guy that, look, I think he's going to be a good player for this Texas team. He's the perfect kind of slot receiver that can fill that role for them really, really well. Great size, 6'4", 195. I think he can play as a big slot. He can play in the boundary, and he can be a contributor for this team. He's a fluid mover. He showed some good physicality at the catch point. He knows how to high point the football. I love that from him. Wanted to see a little bit more from him as a route runner. Limited experience, obviously, but the stock is definitely up on Parker Livingstone. I think he can have a really nice season for them. Got him at a 78 overall. And then we got DeAndre Moore. Now, I went into this thinking that Ryan Wingo was going to be my top player on this Texas wide receiver room. I was like, Wingo, he's got the speed, he's got the recruiting pedigree. DeAndre Moore is an awesome wide receiver that I don't know why he is not being talked about enough, because I think he is the best receiver on this Texas team. 6 foot, 195 pounds. I got him as an 87 overall, 4-star recruit from the 2023 class. Flipped his commitment from Louisville to Texas at the last minute, but you love the compact build. Another guy that I think can play inside and outside, but he's the best route runner on this Texas team by a lot. He is really good at separating. He's got stop-and-go abilities. The open field speed is really impressive. He's slippery after the catch, and like I said, he can play in the slot, and he can play him on the boundary. There's so much to love about what DeAndre Moore can be for your offense. I love the versatility, but the drops are a concern. He had 5 drops in 2024. I think he's a little slow off the ball. His first step is not great. I think he has good build-up speed, but he's going to have to be more consistent at being more explosive. And this is really his first year stepping into a starting role for this Texas team. I think he's going to be a really good player. I wouldn't be surprised if he has an Adonai Mitchell, Matthew Golden type of leap because he gets open. He is really good at the catch point. He's physical. He's slippery after the catch. He can make plays happen. Don't be surprised if you're hearing DeAndre Moore's name in first-round conversations next year, because this is a guy that has all the makings of being a stud at the next level. I'm a big fan of DeAndre Moore, and we'll get to the tight end room after this. Let's talk about the receivers. Let's finish off this really quick because I've got a lot of thoughts about Jack injuries. You got Khalil Lockett as well. I wouldn't be surprised if he has one of the best true freshman receiving seasons. He was the number 2 wide receiver in the class, just behind DeCorian Moore, and it was kind of split between some people on who was the better receiver. 5-star recruit in the 2025 class, had 1,300 receiving yards in 2023. Man, Lockett is awesome. 6'2", 185. He's got strong hands. He high points the ball. He is electric after the catch, though. He's got good physicality. He's got good footwork. His release package at the line of scrimmage is awesome. I think he can be a dynamic deep threat, but similar to Ryan Wingo, I think you can find ways to get him the ball in space. Given his speed, given his athleticism, I think there's a lot you can do with Khalil Lockett as a receiver. I think he's a really good player. I think he's going to have one of the best true freshman receiving seasons of anyone in this class. Then we're going to go on to Emmett Mosley, the transfer from Stanford, 6'2", 190. A lot of people were talking about Alec Iomanner on that team, and he got a pretty good look at Emmett Mosley, who is a transfer that I really, really like for this team. We mentioned the size at 6'2", 190. He's a true sophomore, but he's got good size, good length. His concentration, though, was really impressive. I thought he was really good at the catch point, was able to bring down some really difficult passes. He's a good overall route runner. He's smart in zone coverage, just knows the right spots to settle in, make himself available for the quarterback, and make a play. I really liked that about him. Another guy that isn't going to have the greatest long speed in the world. He's not the most physical guy. He's not great at the line of scrimmage. He's going to have to improve against press coverage, but wouldn't be surprised if you see Emmett Mosley in like a big slot role for this Texas team this season. I really, really like his game and think he fits pretty perfectly. If DeAndre Moore goes down, he is the perfect replacement for DeAndre Moore. I think he's going to have a really nice season for them. And then you got Jamie French here out of, again, another big-time recruit. I got the eyeballs on him because he's another guy. He's going to be a big-time contributor for this team. Maybe not this year, but a multi-sport athlete in high school, ran track, played basketball. He's 6'1", 184. I got a 77 overall on him because his footwork as a route runner is phenomenal. He's physical after the catch, very difficult to bring down, and a guy that uses his physicality to his advantage. He was excellent in the red zone this past season, made big-time plays in the red zone. He can high jump the football, make big plays. That's what this team needs. I think you got that here in Jamie French, who I think could be a big-time contributor for this receiving room. He's not the greatest athlete. I don't think he's got the greatest speed in the world as opposed to a Khalil Lockett, but overall I think is a really good player. I think all 6 of those guys are going to make big impacts, but you got a bunch of other guys here. Rhett Anderson, he played 10 snaps for Texas in 2024. 5'11", 190. He's not a super highly touted, wasn't very recruited out of high school, but I do think he's a guy that gives Texas more depth. Probably a good locker room guy to have. Aaron Butler, 4-star recruit in the 2024 class. Again, a guy that I think could be a nice player. Committed to USC, flipped his commitment to Colorado, flipped it again to Texas. You might have some commitment issues with him there, but he's explosive. He's fast for the position at 6', 175. He's a good deep ball threat. And I think he's a guy that they can use on special teams. I think he could be a really good return man for this Texas team this year. I really like what he could do in that phase. He's a bit undersized. He's got to add on more weight. And there were a lot of issues I noticed with taunting at the high school level. Probably going to have to clean that up. You don't want to get penalized for that. And then Michael Terry III, 6'3", 214, another 5-star recruit. He played both the wide receiver and running back in high school. He's just a physical specimen. freakish size. I think he can play all over the offensive side of the ball. Could even make a transition to tight end. He's slippery and physical. He's a hard player to tackle when he gets a head full of steam. I really like that about him, but because he played so much running back, he's very limited in terms of what he can bring as a route runner. I think he's a little bit more raw as a receiver. Probably would have preferred him being a running back, but he could be a fine player for this team. I think he's going to make a nice impact down the road. Don't really know that he's a guy that I'm betting on to be a big-time player for them this year. So that's it for the receiving room, but let's get into this tight end room. Jack injuries. I have been waiting to do this video strictly because I want to talk about Jack injuries. You see it on the slide. I got him as a 91 overall here. Transfer out of California, was one of PFF's highest graded tight ends in the 2024 season. I'm not going to say he's a first-round tight end, but if he has a productive season like I believe he can, Jack injuries will be a first-round tight end prospect. He is a guy that Cal used everywhere in their offense, whether it be in line, in the slot. He played everywhere. They played him even in the backfield as a running back at times. He is a very good blocker. He seems to always be able to connect at the second level, make plays in the blocking department. He's got a great frame. He's 6'4", 240. I think he's a good athlete as well. He can make plays happen. He's hard to bring down after the catch. He's got reliable hands. I believe he only had one drop in the 2024 season. Jack injuries is a player that is going to make a difference on this Texas team. He's a better athlete than Gunnar Helm was. I think he's a better blocker than Jatavion Sanders was. If you put that together, you have the most well-rounded Texas tight end of the last 3 years, because I think he is a good athlete after the catch. I think he's a good blocker. He's got the size, and he's got the versatility. He fits Sark's offense so well. You can use him in so many different formations. I'm all in on Jack injuries this year of being a potential first-round caliber guy. He's going to have to be stronger at the point of attack, and I want to see more twitch to him as a route runner, but if you don't get that at Texas, it's okay, because you can use him in jet motion. You can get him the ball. He's smart against zone coverage. Jack injuries was a much-needed addition for this Texas team in the portal, and I think it had to have happened because look at the rest of this tight end room. Jordan Washington, Spencer Shannon, Will Randall. I mean, we'll spend a little bit of time here on all of them, but Jordan Washington is the next guy. He's 6'4", 250. He's a four-star recruit, only played 28 snaps. He projects to be more of a wide tight end, athletic build, good athlete, but not a great blocker. He's got good physicality, good hands. I think he could be a seam stretcher. Wouldn't be surprised if he has some solid games in there, but I don't think you could bet on him to be your number one tight end. Spencer Shannon, same sort of deal. 3-star recruit in 2023. He's got a big frame. He's 6'7", 255, but only 58 snaps for Texas in 2024. A guy that I think he could be a good blocking tight end, but not a super elite athlete. Not a guy that I expect to be a big-time contributor for this team other than on blocking downs. And then you got Will Randall. He's not taken a snap for Texas in 2 seasons of being there. 3-star recruit in the 2023 class, but he is going to be most well-known because he was teammates with archmanning. I bet you there had to have been a good friendship there, and that's why he's on the team. But what I saw from him in high school, he's a willing blocker. He got physicality, but he's just had a lack of production up to this point. I just didn't see a lot of great receiving upside for him at the collegiate level. And then you got Emory Winston. Emory Winston is a player that, if I had to bet, is going to be a really good player for this Texas team. 6'1", 246 pounds, a 3-star recruit in the 25 class, but a guy that has been generating a lot of buzz in the spring camp. Now, that was before injuries got to town. Injuries is the clear number one tight end here, but man, Winston is a good route runner. He knows how to get open. He's physical at the catch point, and he's really good in the open field. I loved his athletic juice. I loved his ability to run routes. He's a bit of a smaller guy, probably going to be more of a bigger slot tight end type of role because he didn't block very well, but I get it. 3-star recruit, 73 overall. But Emory Winston, he has the makings of being one of the better Texas tight ends of the last few years. I love the athletic juice. I think he had some of the best hands of any player on this Texas recruiting cycle. And I think he's going to be a contributor. He has been the talk of the town throughout Texas spring camp. And I expect Emery Winston to not only get serious minutes for this Texas team, but I think he'll be the number 2 tight end behind Jack Andrews. I think he'll beat out Jordan Washington, Spencer Shannon, and Will Randall. And I think Emery Winston is going to be a real contributor for this Texas team in the 2025 season. I'm all in on him as a recruit, and I think he's going to be a really good piece for this Texas team. But this Texas team has a lot of weapons. They have a lot of guys that you can get the ball to and a lot of different types of players. You got Wingo, Livingstone, DeAndre Moore is a really fun one. I love Jack Andrews, but this true freshman class with Lockett, Michael Terry, Jamie French, Emery Winston, all those guys I think could be contributors, and this can make this Texas team lethal. We talked about the running back room. This team has so many weapons that I think is going to do Arch Manning so many favors in his true first year starting, I should say. He's got so many guys to distribute the ball to, so many guys that are going to be reliable. You got your deep threats, you got your slots, and guys that are going to get open. I love this Texas group of weapons. A big reason why they are the number 1 team. But now we got to talk about really the area where there is going to be the most question marks. That's going to be the offensive line of this Texas team. They only have 1 returning starter from the 2024 season, and that is going to be DJ Campbell. We'll go from left to right, starting with the left tackle here. Trevor Gooseby, he was a swing starter for them last year, played in 319 snaps at both left tackle and right tackle. Look, I think Gooseby has a real opportunity of being a really high draft pick because what we saw from him on tape, I think he's in for a breakout season in the 2025 season. The arrow is pointing way up on Trevor Gooseby. Explodes into his stance. Really good athleticism. Great frame for the position at 6'7", 315 pounds. Obviously, he's got the positional versatility, playing both left tackle and right tackle in the 2024 season, but he's got good hand placement. He moves well. The athleticism is there. The areas that you worry about, he's going to have to get stronger in his lower half. He struggled against power. I thought he overset, was able to lose to the bull rush at times, and he has to be more consistent in the run game. There were a lot of instances where he just wasn't able to connect, but I thought he did a really good job of countering rushers with his hands. I think he moves really well for the position. He's got the length. I wouldn't be surprised if Trevor Gooseby is a first-round caliber offensive tackle based on what we saw. There are a lot of question marks given that he hasn't seen the field much. Under 400 snaps right now. But Trevor Gooseby, I think the arrow is pointing up on him. I think he's going to be a really good player for this Texas team. And then you got Neto Umeozulu, another guy that is kind of patiently waited for his time at Texas. And he's 6'4", 330. He's a really fun player. 4-star recruit in the 2022 class. Just 81 snaps for them. But I think he's got a great frame for the position. Texas loves their big guards. You see it with DJ Campbell. Neto hits with some serious pop in his hands. He's explosive out of his stance. He is consistently able to drive guys into the ground, which I really, really like. He's going to have to be more disciplined. He overextended a lot in the run game. He's really yet to play. He's been here since 2022. He's not really been given an opportunity, but I think this could be a big year for Neto. I'm in on him as a recruit. I think he's going to have a really good season. Cole Hudson is presumed to be the center this year. Similar to Trevor Gooseby, he played in 389 snaps as a swing starter for Texas this past year. There's some things to like about what you saw from Hudson. He had good hand placement. I thought he was a really good chip blocker, good puller in the run game. Overall anchor and footwork, really, really solid. I think he's got the perfect frame as well to be the center at 6'5", 310, but not a great athlete. He's got shorter arms for the position, which is why I think probably going to be best playing at that center position. And I thought when he played against more power rushers, go back in that Clemson game where he's going up against Peter Woods, or go look at what he did against Tyleik Williams in Ohio State. He struggled at times against power rushers. So I got him in an 81. I don't really know how much better he's going to get because he isn't a great athlete. He doesn't have great length. There's going to be some concerns there. And then we got DJ Campbell. DJ Campbell is the one returning starter from the 2024 Texas offensive line. Look, I wasn't super high on DJ Campbell when I went into this exercise. I was like, he's fine. I think he's a day 2 NFL prospect if he goes into the draft, which he probably will next year. 6'3", 330 pounds, a guy that's got a really good frame on that interior, but I think he does a really good job as a help blocker, whether it be picking up blitzes, whether it be recognizing stunts. He was a really good help blocker, and I was really impressed by that. He's strong in his lower body. He's a hard guy to move. He anchors well. He's a good run blocker because he is an excellent puller. That was really what got me. When he pulls across the line of scrimmage, he is lethal. One of the best pulling guards I have seen in my time doing this. Going to have to improve his pad level. Plays high a lot. There's a lot of lunging issues. Defenders are able to get inside. You never want to see anyone get beat. And he's not the most impressive athlete in the world. Going to have to be better. I don't think he's the quickest or the most athletic, but DJ Campbell is an all-around really solid guard, and it's a big-time addition for this Texas team. He could have gone to the NFL. He comes back in pursuit of a national championship, and they needed him because this offensive line has a lot of question marks, but DJ Campbell's not going to be one of them this year. Brandon Baker, the right tackle, another guy that he played 65 snaps for Texas, redshirt freshman, good hand placement, great size for the position, 6'4", 315. Technically, he's very sound. He's got great technique. I really love that about him. Good run blocker, good footwork. Not really a mauler. I wanted to see more just power in his blocking. Want to see better technique. Take some bad angles. Obviously hasn't played much. A guy that I think could be pretty solid for this team, but obviously we don't really know much about him up to this point. In terms of tackle depth, Jaden Chapman, I got a 76 overall. I thought he was a really good run blocker, played 32 snaps for Texas in 2024, 6'4", 300 pounds. He's got good run blocking ability. He can climb into the second level, can pull really well, drives guys into the ground. He's got good power. He's not the most explosive. I want to see him get stronger at just 300 pounds, but overall, not too bad. And then you got Andre Kojo as well. Played shot put and discus in high school, 6'6", 340 pounds. Great size, good, powerful blocker, but just not a great athlete. Played 33 snaps. He's big. He's one of a lumbering type of offensive lineman. I got a 73 rating on him. Nate Kibble, the left guard, didn't play for Texas in 2024. Redshirt sophomore. Got some explosiveness, good run blocker, big frame. I think he can make a transition to tackle at 6'3", 320, but hasn't seen the college field up to this level. And I just wasn't moved by his high school pass protection film. So I got him at a 74. Connor Robertson, Daniel Cruz, 77 snaps for Connor Robertson last year. Played shot put in high school. He's a good run blocker, can chip inside, got some power, but again, didn't love his anchor. I thought he was an okay athlete. If there's one guy that I think could be really good for this Texas team, I liked what I saw from Daniel Cruz. Very powerful blocker. 3-star recruit in the 2024 class. He's 6'3", 310. Redshirted last year, but I thought he had good athleticism. He is a really fluid athlete. He's got great power, and there are so many instances on his high school tape of him just driving guys into the ground. He has got real power in that phase. I really like that about him. Obviously, I want to see more from him in pass protection. I thought he got a little grabby at times, but Daniel Cruz is certainly a guy that I have my eye on for this Texas team. And then Connor Stroh, the right guard, was a member of the 24/7 Freaks list. He's 6'7", 350 pounds, unbelievable size, great powerful run blocker, good hand placement. I thought he did a really good job of countering and pass protection, good anchor, but plays with high pads, limited experience, pretty big for a guard. Wouldn't be surprised if Stroh ends up making a conversion to tackle. But look, this Texas offensive line, they've got question marks. The entire interior is completely fresh, other than DJ Campbell. Both tackles are brand new. What type of player are you going to get from this offensive line? That's really the big question mark, but we talked about it with Kyle Flood in the intro. His ability to develop offensive linemen has a good track record, and I believe that this Texas team has the athletes and the players in place. I mentioned Trevor Gooseby. I think he's going to go, his stock is going to the moon. DJ Campbell, and if you get decent play from some of these guys, this could be a good offensive line yet again. I don't think they're going to be an elite offensive line group, but I think they could be a really solid one. And that kind of rounds out the Texas offense here. Really fun offense. A lot of playmakers. An offensive line where that's really where the questions lie with this Texas team. And then obviously the big wild card is archmanning. But let's go on to the defensive side of the football. And let's look at the interior of the defensive line. Let's start with Simmons. I'm going to be honest with you guys. Simmons is an incredible player, one of the best players on this Texas team. I gave him a 90 overall rating. Dare I say he's slightly overrated right now? Yes, he won the Sean Alexander True Freshman Award. Freshman All-American in 2024. One of the most explosive and best athletes that you are going to see. Incredible bend. Good hands and swipes for the position. But he is the definition of a speed rusher. Won a lot with his athleticism, but a guy that I just want to see more counters developed. That's why I don't have him in that 95 overall. He shows good hands and swipes on occasion, but it's very inconsistent for him. I think he wins a lot with his bend. He wins a lot just because of his pure speed, and that's fine. But can he do that in a pure starting role? He was a backup for them last year, was a rotational piece. That's really where my questions lie. I still have him as a 90 overall. I think he's one of the best players on this Texas team. But I think he's got another level to reach. And when I say he's overrated, I mean, I don't think he's the best defensive player in college football right now, which I've seen some outlets say. I think he's a very good one. And because I even say he's overrated, that just means he's got another level to reach. I think he's going to be in for a monster season for Texas. The arrow is pointing up on him. I'm a big fan of him. But another guy, we'll just start with the edge rushers and then we'll work our way inside. Ethan Burke. Pleasantly surprised by Ethan Burke's tape. Dual sport athlete back in high school, played lacrosse, initially committed to Michigan before flipping to Texas in 2022. Great size at 6'6", 360 pounds. I thought he was a really good run defender. And I think this 1-2 combo that you have with Simmons, who can be more of that pass rushing type, and then you've got a guy in Ethan Burke that can play cleanup. He can be a really good run stopper. I really like that. I thought he had really good bend as well. He showed good bend, good length, had some power in there, good run defender. He's not an amazing athlete. He isn't super quick, doesn't move super well, has to develop some more pass rush counters. I thought he was too reliant on his power. He is a little bit unproven as a consistent pass rusher, but I do think he has ways to win, whether it be his power, whether it be his bend. He's going to be able to create some pressure and be a contributor for this Texas defense. I don't think there's any doubt about that in my eyes. In terms of depth defensive ends for this team, you got Colton Vasek. Unfortunately, he's recovering from a torn labrum. Initially committed to Oklahoma, following his dad's legacy, though, committed to Texas. Redshirted in 2023, played 10 games in 2024, 65 snaps. A big edge rusher again at 6'5", 260. Good explosiveness. I thought he had some interesting high school tape where he had the ability to win with multiple different swipes, but a guy that just hasn't been able to stay healthy, even going back to his high school career, just hasn't been able to see the field a ton. I think he's going to have to be a little bit more disciplined. Was looked out of control at times in the run game. I give him a 77, though. I like the frame. I think he's got some potential there. And I like the pass rush bag that he showed. And then we're going to look at Zena Umeozulu, the brother of Neto, who we talked about earlier. Good athlete, good ability to play really all over the defensive side of the football. Played with a relentless motor, wins a lot with speed, great first step. Wanted to see more finesse moves. Was listed at 220 in high school. He's 260 now. Haven't really seen much of him. Only played one snap for Texas this past season. So he's a guy that I definitely am curious about. And then they got two true freshmen here. Lance Jackson is the guy I have a little bit higher. A guy that's 6'5", 258 pounds, four-star recruit. He's drawing comparisons to Darius Robinson from the Arizona Cardinals. Just has this big inside-outside type of edge presence. Freaky size and length off the edge. High floor run defender right out the gate. I think right out the gate, Lance Jackson's going to be a contributor for them in the run game. But he's got the ability to shed blockers. He's got great length. He's got some positional versatility. He played a little bit of tight end in high school as well. Going to need to see some more consistency in terms of pass rush moves. I don't think he's the most explosive athlete in the world, which is why I have him at 75, but certainly a guy that I really like. And then Smith Orogbo as well. Not really where I'm at there. 6'4", 220, competed in track and field, shot put, and discus. Had 39 offers coming out of high school. He is an explosive pass rusher, very similar to Simmons. He is a guy that is going to get into the backfield with speed. I thought he had some sneaky power in his game, but he's a little bit undersized. Probably a guy that I wouldn't be surprised if he redshirts the year. He's 6'4", 220. Doesn't have a lot of pass rush tools as of now. He has the power, but definitely need to see some more finesse moves developed. When we get into the interior, though, with this team, I have no idea which two they are going to start right out the gate. Basing this purely off of our lads' depth chart, if I had to bet, the two guys that I expect to start for this team are Cole Brevard and Murad Watson. I think those are the two starters. We'll talk about Brevard right out the gate. Cole Brevard, to me, Cole Brevard is a guy that I really think could be a sleeper on this Texas team. Really fun tape at Purdue this past season. A guy that started his collegiate career at Penn State, transferred to Purdue, where he is from, Carmel, Indiana. And then he played at Texas this past season. He's 6'3", 333 pounds. Played lacrosse in high school. And that kind of gives you an idea on the type of player he is. He is going to play more that nose tackle role, but he's got some explosiveness. I thought he showed some really good movement skills for the interior. He's got the ideal size and length measurements, and I loved his ability to shed blockers. I thought he had active hands, great motor, and provides some pass rush upside to his defensive line. For as big as he is, though, you gotta see more power in this game. He was manhandled way too often against Big Ten offensive linemen. You gotta be a little bit more powerful in there. Had some missed tackle concerns, struggled to consistently take on double teams. So there are gonna be some concerns with Brevard, but I got my eyes on him because I love what he does as a pass rusher, the explosiveness. Gonna need some more consistency in the run game, but certainly a guy I like. Let's move on to Alex January as well, the other guy who was listed as a starter on our lads. True sophomore, played in 94 snaps for Texas. His father, Michael January, played for Texas back in the 80s, was a four-star recruit. Look, he's got elite size, the ideal length you look for on the interior, good overall athleticism at 6'5", 315, but not an amazing pass rusher. Has to develop some more moves. Obviously, limited experience. I just wasn't moved by his highlights, by his tape in high school. So that's why I got him at a 74. A guy that this team does believe in. He's got bloodlines back to the school, though. I do think he will see the field. Hero Canoe, interesting prospect here. Transfer from Ohio State. Was the number 18 prospect in his class. A guy that was born in Germany, started off playing soccer. He's 6'5", 305 pounds, played 3 seasons at Ohio State. I thought he had good explosiveness, some decent power in his game, but he's a guy that's going to need to improve his instincts. Was not able to consistently get off of blocks, hasn't seen the field often. His anchor as a run defender is pretty poor. I thought he was pushed back far too often. And I want to see better instincts as a run defender. Obviously, there's potential, but definitely some concerns there for me. Then we got Travis Shaw out of North Carolina. This is an interesting one, and I do believe that there might be something going on behind the scenes because Texas brought in 2 defensive linemen in the spring portal. I wouldn't be surprised if Travis Shaw has some serious issues. He's had a lingering knee issue going back to his time at North Carolina. Had 55 tackles, 7 pressures this past season. As a former 5-star recruit, he just hasn't really been able to put it all together. Not a great athlete, needs to develop his hands. He's so stiff, and he's never really broken out as a starter, has never really had a starting role at North Carolina. He is strong. He's got good size at 6'5", 330, good balance to take on double teams. Lateral agility is pretty good, but he's just really stiff. I got him at a 74. Melvin Hills III is another player here that's an interesting one. Former 3-star recruit. He's got long arms. He showcased a really strong swim move for the position. Solid burst. good versatility and production throughout his high school career, but has to develop more counter moves, and I didn't love his bend or his change of direction. I got him at a 71. But the guy that I think could break out for Texas in 2025 and take this interior defensive line from good to great is true freshman Justice Terry. Terry was by far the best true freshman that I looked at in this class, the number 8 prospect in the country per ESPN, the number 2 defensive tackle in the country. He has the fireworks next to him as the true freshman stud. He has got a bit of a journey, committed to Georgia, decommitted, recommitted, went to USC, ended up flipping to Texas in December of 24. But man, incredibly athletic prospect out of Manchester, Georgia. Phenomenal length. He has versatility at 6'5", 270 to play inside, can play outside. He is said to have gotten his weight up to about 300 pounds now per Sports Illustrated, which is just chef's kiss if that's the case. He is one of the most impressive young athletes I have looked at. Can win with power. He can win with finesse. He hits incredibly hard. He knows how to bring guys down. He had some injuries in 2024. He's going to need to add on some more secondary moves as a pass rusher. But Justice Terry is a legitimate problem that can be a legitimate superstar for this Texas defense. Don't be surprised if he ends up starting for this Texas team by the end of the year and ends up being one of the most impactful true freshmen in college football. I really do believe in Justice Terry. He's the second highest rated player I have on this interior defensive line for Texas. So that should let you know how I feel about him as a prospect. I think he's phenomenal. Josiah Sharma, another true freshman, behemoth size at 6'5", 325, 4-star recruit, has a wrestling background, initially committed to Oregon, but look, the explosiveness is there, got versatility. He's still growing into his frame, though, shockingly. I do think his lateral quickness is a bit concerning at times. Then they brought in LaVon Johnson, a transfer from Maryland. He's got a decent power profile. He showed the ability to push the pocket at times, decent explosiveness, but just struggled to consistently get off a block. Similar to Travis Shaw, he's very stiff, pushed off the ball at times in the run game, more of a rotational piece, I feel like. Then they brought in Myron Charles out of another true freshman, 4-star recruit, the number 15 defensive tackle, committed to Florida State, flipped to Texas. He's an incredibly raw player, but he brings a lot of upside to the defensive tackle position. Tremendous bull rush, very enticing power profile. The athleticism is there, but a guy that I probably think redshirts for the year, plays really high, doesn't rush with a very consistent plan. He's going to be overpowered at the college level right now. But again, the potential is there. He's 6'4", 295. I do like his game. And then Murad Watson is the guy I have my eye on out of Syracuse. He was a big-time transfer recruit. Wasn't heavily recruited out of high school, but a lot of teams wanted him after a really productive true freshman season where he really stepped up for that Syracuse defense. Has the size and the length to be a really impactful player. He's got a good bull rush. He hits hard. He plays with really good balance. He just was constantly in control of his reps. His hands were a little stiff at times, I will admit. Missed tackle percentage a little high. I want to see more from him as a pass rusher, but I like this Texas defensive line. The Texas defensive line, we talked about it. They downgraded this year. There's no doubt about it. But if Justice Terry hits, if Murad Watson plays well, if Cole Brevard is as good as I think he can be, this Texas defensive line has some real potential of being a really good unit yet again. So I love what this Texas team has. You got speed, you got power. You're going to be able to defend the run well with guys like Brevard and Shaw or LaVon Johnson even. So definitely some players to really like on this Texas defensive line. Moving on to the linebacker room, this is where I think Texas is their best. I think Texas has the best linebacker room in the entire country, and it starts with Trey Moore. Trey Moore, to me, I was a little bit shocked when I saw the news that Trey Moore is flipping from edge rusher to inside linebacker this year. But the more I looked at it, the more I was like, yeah, I'm all in on this move for Trey Moore. I think this is a situation where Trey Moore is going to absolutely thrive in. 6'3", 245, he just was a guy that I didn't love his edge tape. Started at UTSA, was a 2-star recruit, won Defensive Player of the Year in the American Conference in 2023, transferred to Texas last year. And look, there's some things to really like. He can win with both speed and power. He's got long arms, got a nice spin move in there. But where I thought Trey Moore was at his best is when you dropped him back into coverage, he used his instincts, and he came downhill. That's what I think that this team is going to do with Kwiatkowski's scheme. He's got a great build for an inside linebacker at 6'3", 245. His best pass rush reps are when you used him as a blitzer or as a stuntman. They're going to be able to do that with him as an inside linebacker. He is going to have to improve as a run defender and as a tackler, but I thought his coverage instincts really, really impressive for a guy that was an edge rusher that was dropped back. I thought he moved well. He's fluid. This is a situation where I really do think Trey Moore has the upside to go really high in the draft. He's got some pass rush moves that he can utilize as a blitzer, but if he can be a consistent threat in the middle, Texas might be cooking here in the linebacker room, because you already have maybe the best linebacker in all of college football in Anthony Hill Jr. Anthony Hill Jr. is a guy that I do believe is going to be a first-round pick in the 2026 NFL Draft. Was a finalist for the Butkus Award in 2024. The number 1 linebacker in his class, number 4 overall recruit. He's 6'3", 235, but I mean, what's there not to like about him? Athleticism is there. Great size, great length for the position. Incredibly smart in coverage, recognizes his zone assignments really well. He does a really good job of sticking in man-to-man coverage. He's a great tackler, great technique. He can trigger quickly, fluid change of direction. I mean, everything you want to see from the linebacker position. I think Anthony Hill checks every single one of those boxes. Can he be a bit of a more downhill presence in the run game? Sure. I thought there were a lot of instances where he struggled to get off of blocks consistently, but Anthony Hill is a dog. He was incredible for Texas last year. I think he's going to be incredible for them this year. Was one of the best linebackers in the country. There's so much to love about his game. I love this Texas linebacker room where I think you can let Anthony Hill kind of roam the middle. Trey Moore can be that downhill blitzer. We mentioned that they're aggressive. They want to blitz. They want to bring guys. They have options now that I don't think they had last year that are super enticing if you are a Texas fan. But I love the depth in this linebacker room too. That's what excites me. Brad Spence, the most pleasant surprise, transfer from Arkansas. He's a 3-star recruit out of Houston, 6'2", 238. But man, his downhill presence as a disciplined, smart run defender, really good. Did a great job of plugging gaps. He could be a blitz threat. He's an above-average block shedder. There's a lot to like about Brad Spence as that downhill thumping type of linebacker. Now, he's not a good coverage linebacker. He gets lost a lot. He lost his starting job in 2024 at Arkansas. Plays a little bit out of control, bites on play action. So that's why he's not quite in the 80 overall range. But I actually quite like Brad Spence. And then you got Leona Leifau, who was a starter for Texas last year in the linebacker room. And there's some stuff to like. The number 1 recruit from the state of Hawaii in his recruiting class started 11 games. Again, he has the ability to trigger quickly, be a downhill presence, snuff out screens, defend the run. Really, really good in that area. He's just a great athlete. I think you can use him in a bunch of different ways. Not a great coverage player, though. Play strength is pretty average. Wanted to see him be more of a threat getting off of blocks, and I thought his timing was off. I think he had a timer in his head of when he was going to blitz. If the quarterback was still there, he kind of got lost in coverage at times, and very rarely was he a solo tackler. So I wanted to see that improve. We'll talk about Elijah Barnes here as well. Another true freshman for this defense, 4-star recruit. Played linebacker and running back in high school. Tends to play a little bit upright. Not a full-time linebacker, but good size, good quickness. Had some coverage, some things I saw from him in coverage that I really like. And he's okay at getting off a block. So certainly a guy that I think can be an impact for them. And then Anthony Smith. Look, a guy who only played 98 snaps for them. Played Wildcat quarterback in Texas. But, oh my gosh, those 25 snaps, or 98 snaps, I thought he was a fantastic. Great frame, good athleticism, instincts in coverage. Had an interception against Florida where he was really, really good on that play. He's strong in his lower half, Going to have to get better at tackling, though. A lot of missed tackles. He's going to have to get stronger at 220. He's got to have to get better at getting off of blocks. That's why I only have him at a 76. But I think Anthony Smith is another guy that could be a contributor for this linebacker room. And this Texas linebacker room, I think, is by far the strength of this team. You got coverage guys. You got downhill thumpers. They have so many options. They can be aggressive the way that they want to run their defense. And they can run a lot of the zone stuff that they want to run with their options. I love this. And look, get this. If Trey Moore isn't good as a linebacker, kick him right back to edge, put Liona Leifau, put Brad Spence in that role, and you have options. This Texas defense is really exciting because I think that second level of linebackers is really, really good, especially when you are headlined by one of the best players in the country in Anthony Hill. Moving on to the secondary, though, the last part of this Texas team, an interesting one because you don't really have any elite players here. Well, I'd say you have a couple of guys, but a lot of guys that I think could really improve. Again, we'll work left to right, starting off with Jalen Gilbo, a guy that's been pretty interesting. Started 13 games for Texas in 2024. I like his speed. I thought he turned his hips really, really well. He's got great stop and go ability, can play inside and outside, but look, you got to be able to defend the run, and he just didn't do it well. He's got not a great tackler, a lot of missed tackles on tape, not great at getting off of blocks, and he just hasn't been very productive with the ball in the air. Not a lot of interceptions, not a lot of pass breakups. Definitely want to see that get better, but he's 6 foot 190, a lot of starting experience. I don't think he's this elite corner, but I definitely think he's going to be a contributor for this Texas defense. And then we move on to Jelani McDonald. Now, definitely one of my favorite watches on this Texas team. I got the eyes on him. Started only 4 games for Texas in 2024. Played the safety position. They're moving him into the slot. Reminds me a little bit of Jahdae Barron. But Jelani McDonald, at his size, at 6'2", 205 pounds, exceptional size and length. I think he could play strong safety. You obviously could play him in the nickel, which is what they are going to do this year. I think he could play boundary corner as well. He is big, he is physical, and he is fluid. Excellent change of direction. Very good tackler for the position. Gonna need to improve his instincts in zone coverage. I definitely thought he got lost at times. Obviously, changing positions puts a wrench in things. He's gonna need to be a little bit lighter on his feet. I thought he was heavy on his feet at times, and that worries me. But I got him at an 85. I think he's awesome. I think he's going to be a big-time contributor for the Texas defense, and I think he's a good overall player. They love the nickel position for this Texas team. They do. You saw Jahdae Barron be such a big impact for them. I think McDonald could be next up in that line of players. Then you got Michael Taft, one of the few returning pieces for this Texas team. Michael Taft is a very good safety. I went into it thinking, all right, it's just going to be one of these guys that is a good, not great athlete, maybe sneaky athletic, all the cliches. But no, Michael Taft is really, really good. His short area burst, impressive. Change of direction, hip fluidity, it's there. He checks those boxes. Good coverage instincts. He's a heady defensive back with the ability to make up a lot of lost ground. He had the interception he had against Texas A&M was one of the best plays I saw any player on this Texas team make. Really good player there, but he's also a good downhill safety. He could be a downhill presence. He's not an elite athlete. It's not there. I think his short area burst is great. Long speed, not crazy. Missed tackle rate, it's pretty high for him, and he's going to have to get a little bit stronger. But he's a 91 overall, one of the best safeties in the country. He's smart, he's physical, and I think he's got really good ball skills to make plays. So big fan of Michael Taft. I think that was a big-time addition to get him back on this team. I think he's going to be really good for Texas this year and play himself into top 100 draft pick conversations. Then you got Jordan Johnson-Rubel, another guy that he only played 78 snaps, 4-star recruit. He made plays when he was on the field. He's a hard-hitting player, good range and athleticism. I think he profiles to being more of a roaming free safety. Limited experience. I don't love his size at 5'10", 190. And he just got very grabby at times with the ball in the air. He's going to have to get better. he's up in the air. Wouldn't be shocked at all if he is not starting on this team, because I do like some of the other safeties that this team has. Moving on to Malik Muhammad here. Muhammad's been really good over the last couple of years. Malik Muhammad is a guy, we're going to do it again. Muhammad reminds me a lot of Maxwell Hairston, though. He's not this guy that I don't think his athleticism shows up like at a super elite level on his tape, but I love what he does. One of the smartest zone corners I have looked at. Fluid athlete, stop and go abilities. He checks those boxes, but the hand fighting he does at the line of scrimmage, they're really good. I think he's got the ability to defend multiple areas. Texas runs a lot of cover 2, cover 4, as we mentioned. Malik Muhammad can do all those things really well. Not a great run defender. I don't think he's awesome in man-to-man coverage. I definitely want to see more consistency there from him. His footwork is choppy, though. That's really what worries me about his transition to the league. His back pedal wasn't very fluid. I thought he got heavy on his feet at times. Got to see more consistency from Malik Muhammad in that phase, but the potential is there for him to be a first-round caliber corner. I got a first to second round grade on him right now, but definitely a 90 overall type player, because I thought the ball skills at times in terms of pass deflections were good. I thought his closing speed was good. I love his movement abilities, and I think the size and length, he checks all those boxes. So I like Malik Muhammad quite a bit on this Texas team. But looking at the rest of the secondary, I mean, you got some guys that I really believe in. Kobe Black, really good player. Played in 110 snaps, 5-star recruit, but he's got excellent long speed. He's a player who I thought he can wear that green dot. He's got great communication, hits hard for the position. The ball skills are there. Obviously, he's got limited experience. I want to see more consistency in the run game, and I didn't think he had great change of direction, but I think given a more starting type of role, he is going to be a contributor for this team. Santana Wilson, another guy, speedy cornerback. He didn't play in 2024, a red shirt year for him. Physical player, good in press coverage, good eyes in zone, but doesn't have elite size or length. He's 6 foot 190, which the measurement's there. I think he's smaller than that, and just want to see more consistency in the run game. Grayson Littleton, initially recruited to Clemson, flipped to Texas, former track star, really good bump and run guy. I thought he was a great, really impressive press man corner. Love to see that. Can be a contributor in special teams, is a good punt returner, good tackler with good change of direction. I like that, but I don't think he's got the best ball skills, and I don't love his size. Again, 6 foot 180, gonna have to get bigger. Don't think he's got elite length for the position. Warren Roberson as well. Don't love his game. Only 28, or excuse me, give me 1 second here. Pulling up his notes. Yeah, 26 total snaps in Texas throughout his career. Credible track star in high school. It just hasn't really panned out. He can fly. The ball skills are certainly there, but he's smaller than I'd like in terms of his weight. Played a lot of zone in high school, and I think he's a little overly aggressive in terms of jumping routes. Cade Phillips, another one of these true freshmen, 4-star recruit. On 3 had him as a 5-star recruit, but he's explosive. The speed is there. Hard hitter, snuffs out screens really well. I love the ball skills. Plays well in zone. He's got positional versatility. Want to see more from him in man, but he might fit this scheme really well. Cade Phillips, I think, could really impact this season. Wardell Mack, 25 snaps on his season in 2024. Want to see him add on a little bit more weight. Want to see more tackling aggression from him, but fluid hips, good speed, can play both inside and outside. Ryan Niblett, really interesting one. Former running back, converting to the secondary at 5'10", 185. Not really much to say, but the speed is there. Good athlete. Very curious to see kind of how that transition goes for him. And then they got Caleb Chester, 3-star recruit from the 2025 class. Good athlete, but he's very light at 179. Likely going to redshirt for the year. So Texas in the cornerback room, they've got a lot of guys, whether it be Cade Phillips, Kobe Black, even Grayson Littleton. I think all those guys can come in, give them some really nice play. But the safety room, I think Texas has the deepest safety room in the country. Derek Williams, really good player. I think I had the overalls flipped. Graham Gillespie says 79 there. He's a 70. We'll talk about him really quickly. He was a walk-on, academic honor roll each of the last two players. A guy that's not going to see the field much. Graham Gillespie, 79. He's more of a 70 here. And Derek Williams, though, 98 snaps, 5-star recruit in the 23 class, coming off a season-ending injury, but I think he's a solid downhill run defender. He's got great athleticism at 6'2", 195 to play just about anywhere in the defensive backfield. Great change of direction, consistent tackler. The instincts in zone coverage are there. Even though he can be indecisive, I think he's going to have to improve his eyes. Speed is going to be a concern, and coming off an injury, you got some concerns. But I do like Derek Williams. And then you got Xavier Filsheim, 25 snaps in 2024. Number 33 prospect in the nation coming out of high school. Played a lot of track, great athlete. Loved what he did as a route mirror. Didn't love the tackling technique. The ball skills weren't great, but a guy that's going to be a contributor as both an athlete and as a special teamer. But you got two true freshmen here in Jonah Williams and Zealous Hicks. Now, Jonah Williams has been making a lot of discussion because of his play on the baseball field. Jonah Williams is a guy that plays baseball for this Texas team. He was on the 24/7 Freaks list, multi-sport athlete that was a awesome basketball player. He's on the Texas baseball team, and he is just phenomenal. Absolutely blazing speed. The confidence oozes with him. Hard hitter, great ball skills, a guy that can play linebacker, safety, can return kicks. He is a guy that's going to contribute for Texas in some way, shape, or form. Going to have to get stronger at shedding blocks. The motor can be a bit of a concern at times with him, but Jonah Williams is a stud and a guy that's going to be an awesome player for this team this year. And then you got Zealous Hicks as well. Don't want him to get lost in this because another guy who's incredibly young, reclassified. So he should be in high school for another year, but man, elite size, speed, 6'2", 190, good length for the position, solid zone instincts, but I think you could bring him downhill as a blitzer. He's going to need to improve some of his coverage and tackling, but overall, this Texas secondary has so many guys that are going to be able to contribute, whether it be the freshmen, whether it be some of the depth pieces. Texas is going to be locked down in the secondary again. You lose Jahdae Barron, you lose Andrew Makuba. You've got options, though, in this secondary that I don't think you had before, and that should give Texas fans a ton of excitement for this team. So, kind of to wrap things up here, and overall thoughts here, the Texas schedule is interesting. They've got a 9.5 win total, but they have a very interesting schedule on the season. Obviously, you start at Ohio State. Very interesting game for them. I think they can beat Ohio State, though. Ohio State, new quarterback situation, lost a lot of pieces on the defensive line and the offensive line. So I'm going to give Texas a win in that game. You got an easy schedule. San Jose State, UTEP, Sam Houston. At Florida, could be a bit of a trap game. I do like Florida this year, but I'm going to take Texas. Oklahoma, Kentucky, Mississippi State. I think this Texas team should hit the over. We mentioned 9.5 win total for Texas this season, but a lot of games that I think are winnable on the schedule. Home for Vanderbilt, home for Arkansas, at Mississippi State, at Kentucky, San Jose State, UTEP, Sam Houston. There's a lot of winnable games. I think this schedule comes down to two games. Can you beat Ohio State? Can you beat Georgia? Both games are on the road. I think you could split those games. I got Texas losing one game this year. I'm going to take the over on that 9.5 win total for them. I think they are a good enough team to win this year. And going a little bit further, national title, they are plus 650, plus 270 to win the SEC. I don't think those odds are good enough to take, but I do think Texas is going to be in the SEC championship game yet again. And I think they got a real chance to compete for a national title. In terms of strengths and weaknesses, I think the secondary, you got to feel really good about. The linebacker room, the secondary, the back half of this defense, you feel really, really good about. The quarterback room, I also think, look, you got depth. I think you feel good about Archmanning and the way that he's going to be able to open up this offense, and you got consistency coming in from the coaching staff. In terms of weaknesses, a lot of weapons that are unproductive, and on both sides. On the offensive line, defensive line. A lot of guys that just haven't seen the field much. You're betting on a lot of these young guys. But I believe in this Texas team. They are got the number 103 in terms of returning production. They are first in terms of their recruiting class. So overall, I think this Texas team is going to be really, really good. I got them being in the SEC championship game. I think they can make a push for the national title. We didn't talk about this with Archmanning, but he's the favorite to win the Heisman, and I think he should be the favorite to win the Heisman. There's so much playing in the favor of this Texas Longhorns team. I had them as my #1 overall team in college football, but I'd love to hear from you guys. What do you think? Who do you think should be #1? Who do you think is going to be #2? That one will be coming later next week. Again, please give me patience on this. I'm going to try to get these out as quickly as possible. Check out the Patreon if you want access to the interactive card guide that has been an absolute joy to put together for you guys. Leave a like on this video. Subscribe if you are new. Comment down below who you think is going to be #2. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Adios.